Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Oh, I've got an echo. Why? All of a sudden, it happens these days that when the stream starts, the connection starts acting up, but I guess it's not anymore. So, hello and welcome to our live, and thank you so much if you're watching it, the replay, because that's always fun. You can ask questions as well, and you can leave it in the comments, and I'm gonna forward them to Stephanie. So if you have anything, don't be afraid to think that you missed out. So yeah, so far we're in a very cozy little environment because there's Nancy, Paper Moon Tarot here.
Hi.
And yeah, so how are you guys? So I think we're just gonna, notification went out, so we're gonna just blabber on for a little while.
I can blabber a lot, so.
I didn't know about that myself, but it looks like I can talk a lot.
Well, my problem is I think you're my third live, and I found that on my other ones, I just talk, and I'm gonna try not to I think I might talk over people. I don't want to do that, so.
Oh, I do that when I'm very excited, when I get passionate and I'm like, oh, yes. And some people think that, we do that because we don't care, but it's not that. It's just you get so excited that you want to get out, your thoughts get out. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm forgetful too. I always like to finish my thoughts and get them all out there. I'm also really terrible with watching you and watching the comments. So if anyone types,
I will try to. Yeah, I mean, I know that when they're, I will keep track of the comments, and I wanted to say that if anybody has a question, please ask it in the later half of the stream, because that's when I will be actually able to pay attention. So we have Ishi as well. Yes, notification is a great thing when it happens. Oh, we have Ivan. Hi. You haven't been here before, I don't think so. Oh, and it's exciting. I mean, if you guys know, if it's your, your first time on my channel, then you don't know, but I keep talking about the occasion tour, like in every video that I can. So for me, it's very cool that Stephanie is here. And yeah, we're kind of having a friendly conversation about the new deck, which is a dragon deck. And as you can see from my name, I have dragons everywhere. I mean, you can't see it in my room currently because I was wondering, but I don't have a lot of visible decorations. But I mean, this is my pen holder.
Oh, that's
so yeah. I mean, I'm surrounded by dragons everywhere. So I was very excited when I found out that there was a deck. Unfortunately, no, let's cut that out. So Stephanie was so sweet, and she offered to send me what is it called, a prototype deck, but the Hungarian customs is like, you gotta wait for it. So it's not here yet. So unfortunately, I don't have the deck to show you. But
once you get it, it'll be great, and it'll be well worth the wait. So.
Oh, of course. I mean, but
it's really conceited to say.
Yeah, I mean, I was ignoring all the walkthroughs and everything because I don't want to spoil everything for myself. But
I track my packages every day. So when I send out packages, I keep the numbers, and I'm always checking yours. I'm like, come on, I want to see some movement, but I know that the moment that you receive it, you're going to email me anyway. So I don't know where I am, but.
Yeah, I know. I mean, currently I closed it because I was just telling Stephanie that I was called by the customs today that I had to refill some papers. So I'm like, I don't dare to look at what the number actually saying today. So I'm like, let's just close it. Let's wait a bit.
Try not to think about it.
I mean, I'm trying not to be, because I think that, if I worry, that's just gonna send out negative feelings and whatever. And I actually started to sending positive thoughts to the person dealing with the package, and then I got the email today, so it's working.
That's good. So it's at the end of the day, it's not their fault, but it's still you want to wait by your mailbox and hope that it's there, and you know that it's not going to be. So.
Yeah. And I was so hopeful that I would get the deck by this live comes around, because you sent it almost 2 weeks ago and it's just still nowhere. So yeah.
Well, I sent you a replacement tarot box, and like 2 months later, you emailed me. You're like, "Did you send me something?" I'm like, "Yeah, that really, could that be the box?" I'm like, "It's been 2 months," and it was declared as a gift and everything, because it was a gift. There was no charge on it, and I couldn't believe that it was still stuck there. And my worry was that it had been sitting in a big pile of packages, and possibly, even though I securely packed it, I thought maybe it was ruined, but it wasn't. You said it arrived.
No, everything was perfect. Just they are so backlogged, even though they hired, like, I remember they said that they hired 500 people because of the new rules from the 1st of July, but they still can't deal with it. So it's just
positive thoughts to the post office people as well. So
I mean, I'm trying to be understanding, but my sister had an even worse experience. She had a package ordered from Japan, and she was calling them for about a month, almost daily, because there was some system error with the tracking number, and they couldn't actually process the package, and it was almost sent back 3 times. And the only reason that they didn't send it back, because my sister was calling them every time that I can see that it's trying to leave the country. Why? Yeah. And then they checked and everything was in order, but there was some system error. And finally, she got a new number and she got the package yesterday. But and she was still charged for everything. And I was like, in this case, they should have been like very apologetic. They were not.
No.
Their horses were very high, so I'm like,
oh goodness. Well, at least she has it now.
Yeah. At least, I mean, she lost weight. She was very soft. So yeah. Look at that. We have Ben, who loves occasion tour. Who doesn't? I mean, come on.
I watched Ben's indie deck collection.
I did too. I mean, I checked the list. I was like, good. I can see the occasion tour.
Well, there's a lot of decks on there that I love, and I was like, oh, it's just nice to see other people's collections and see what they like compared to.
I love watching that. Yeah, I mean, I even watch even if I don't know the person, I'm like, there's a 50 minutes collection video. Let's watch it.
I love collection videos. I know some collection videos are getting a bit of flack these days, but I just like it's almost like, and this is going to sound really odd, it's like when I walk my dog and it's at night and you can see into someone's living room and you're like, I just want to look at like their, what color their walls are, and like, oh, they have their table there. It's kind of like that, getting a little sneak peek into the life of another person you like.
I don't think I ever watched one where I felt that the person was flexing. I know that there's a conversation about it, but I always just feel like people are wanting to share what they enjoy, and I can feel that they are excited because they love all these decks.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do an actual wish list update as well soon, because I thought that after a year of buying decks, because I bought quite a few ones, the list would be shorter. But actually, it just got different, because now I have a different taste. Now I read differently. So I'm like, it's going to be an hour-long video, I guess.
I mean, you learn what you like and the things that you don't like. And what I love about different tarot decks is there's a tarot deck for everyone. When I try to explain it to people who aren't into tarot and explain what I do, I always like to point out how there's decks in every theme. If you like movies, there's movie tarot decks like Star Wars, and if you like cats, if you like dogs, and it's just really it's a really great thing. And I'm kind of a mix of, I have decks that I read with, and I have decks that I really just love the artwork on them, and I kind of like them sitting on a shelf and knowing that I could pull one out at any time. And if I'm feeling one way, I probably have a deck to make me feel better. Or if I want an honest reading, I have a deck for that. And it's all usually in a theme that I like. And very rarely do I have a deck that comes into my collection that leaves my collection, because I'm an indecisive person. So I like walkthroughs and just to make sure that I really want it. But you know, I don't know what I was going on about this whole time, but basically I love deck collection videos. I think it's cool. So
yeah, I was just thinking that I love watching walkthroughs, and I'm very appreciative when people upload longer ones, because I love hearing what people think about the deck, because that helps to decide if I want it or not. And that was how I find Becca, by the way, back then, because I was looking up the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, because that was an interesting one. I don't know if you watched the walkthrough of the one that I did.
I'm not sure, but
yeah, I don't think so, because that was a long time ago. But I originally, when I saw the deck, the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I was like, oh, watercolors. But then I was like, I mean, I have a lot of paints. I don't paint. I haven't painted anything for years, which sucks. But I want to do, I want to start painting again. But yeah, and you can just buy me with watercolors pretty much. That's a very good starting point for me in the deck. But I was hesitant, because I was like, it's an animal deck, and I don't read with animals because I don't know anything about, usually I don't know their qualities. So I was like, okay, there's a rabbit or there's a fox, and maybe I can, deal with those. But there are decks that has a lot of animals that I just don't know anything about. And I was like, I don't want that. And I was like, it's an indie deck anyway, let's not buy it. And some time went on. I didn't back the Kickstarter. I wasn't really even sure how Kickstarters work, because that was just the beginning of my tarot YouTube and whatever career. That's a weird one. And I don't know if where did I see that? Oh yeah, there were some seconds or leftovers available.
Yes.
For a discounted price.
Did you buy a boxless deck or a damaged deck?
Yes, I did the boxless, because I was like, I'm making bags for my boxes anyway. Who needs a box?
I remember you emailed me or messaged me in Kickstarter, and I remember. Yes.
Yeah. And then before I decided that I wanted the deck, I did a reading, because I really couldn't decide, if I wanted, because I looked at it and I really wanted, but I was like, this is an animal deck. What am I doing? And I remember, because the reading was so interesting, because it's I pulled for, if I get it or if I don't. And for if I don't get it, it was like, everything's going to be okay. You're not going to miss that. You're not going to experience anything like, oh, it was a mistake or anything like that. It's going to be fine. But for if you get it, I got the 2 of Cups.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the heck? And it was really just like a 2 of Cups. When I got the deck and I started reading with it, it jumped up on the top list of my decks, because we're just getting along so fine. So that's when I, realized that there's an actual deck, a dragon deck coming from you guys. I was like, that's gonna be the deck for me. I mean, no expectations or pressure or anything.
I love dragons. I think I had anything that had a dragon on it when I was growing up. I had figurines and posters and, like, you name it. It was a cute dragon. I had to have it. So I remember when I created Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I was thinking of, kind of juggling around some ideas of what I wanted the next deck to be. And just in case anyone's come in after, if I don't respond to your comments, I'm really, really sorry. I'm terrible at, like, looking at the comments and then talking to Orshi. So, but I promise if there's questions, I will definitely answer them. But so I was thinking about the theme of the next deck, and I just thought back to how I love dragons, and I was looking through Adam's artwork on his website, and there were a few dragons. I'm like, that's it, we're doing dragons. And I approached Adam about it. I said, I'm thinking of the theme for the next deck. He's like, okay, what is it? I said, what do you think of woodland dragons? He's like, yes, definitely. I'm like, yay, you're doing my next deck. I'm so excited. He's just so talented. And today we had our kitchen redone. So I have a lot of pictures and artwork that I want to hang on the walls, but all going down my stairs, I have like a whole bunch of Adam's artwork. And I was talking to my husband about it. I said, it's just so beautiful. And like, you just step into this whole other world. I was saying to him, do I have too much of Adam's artwork on our walls? He's like, no. I said, well, I did hire him for this exact reason. It's like he takes my ideas and creates them exactly how I intended them to look. So for him to continue working with me on the decks, and it's really just this partnership of, he makes it, if I'm stuck on something or he has a better suggestion for an art, like I'll send him through a description. He's like, I know it said this, but what do you think of us having the dragon facing this way or from this angle? And I really take his suggestions and opinions quite seriously, because that's why I work with him. If he has a suggestion, I know that it's worth it. So, so he's just how does one person have that much talent?
I don't know. I mean, I every time when he posts something on Instagram, I'm like, how much hours do you have to practice to be able to put that on paper? I don't think that anybody, I mean, I know that you can learn a lot, and by practice you can, get better, but what really talented people do on paper is pretty much magic for me. So yeah. Okay, we missed a few people. I don't want to be rude for not saying hi. So I know that I said hi. We said hi to Ben, but we have Patrice.
Hi.
And I don't have your name. I mean, I'm subscribed to Drop of Golden Tarot's channel, but I forgot her name. I'm really sorry. I mean, I'm trying to do, like showing the channel name and then the real name, so when people come in, they know who's who.
Yeah.
And I fail, so I'm really sorry. We have Jonathan, who has the deck, who has a prototype, and I'm really sorry I haven't watched it yet because I'm waiting on mine. And I just wanted to mention that some people asked, they were so cute and so nice, because we had a Lenormand study group, and they were like, but you're getting one, right? And I was like, yeah. So it was so sweet of them to think that I'm gonna get one, because I honestly, it was such a surprise to me when you offered. So it was quite hard to not to just reply back that, are you crazy? Of course. Like, why do you even have to ask? I was like, oh, I can't say that. Okay. Harry Potter, yes. I don't know why we're talking about, but this is my Harry Potter shelf.
Yeah, and I'm all about Harry Potter, so.
Always, I mean. And I love Harry Potter because of, what it does to kids. Because I have a Harry Potter club in the library for 8-10 years old kids. And I just love seeing them, being excited for reading and for books. And I think that's just brilliant.
Oh, and you did a video. You were talking about English shows, and you were talking about Vigil, and you couldn't remember the actress's name. It's like, it's Saran Jones. I watched that too. I'm a big Saran Jones fan.
Yeah.
Not that it has anything to do with Harry Potter, but just like watching things in general. I love English programs. And
yeah, same. I mean, I watch a lot. English crime shows are my favorite because they don't do the gory stuff. And I don't know why Devil's Broadchurch, which is one of the most mind-blowingly good, David Tennant.
I haven't watched it, but I've heard of it, definitely.
You need to watch it. It's on Netflix. Everybody, if you love crime shows, you have to watch, but be prepared to go through a roller coaster. And they did a US version, and I couldn't watch it because David Tennant was in it as well.
Yeah.
But it was so Americanized that I was like, nah, and I just enjoy.
I
love American TV shows for their thing.
Yeah.
I don't like when they pick something that belong to a different country, like the Scandinavian crime shows, and they make a version. Like, why? Put some subtitles on it and watch it. So I just don't understand why they have to do that. Okay, Ray. Okay, sorry, Ray. Okay, I'm gonna not wait, because if I don't make a note right now,
you're like me, taking notes.
I mean, I learned from Gerald that make notes with names, because my memory is my memory, and it's a goldfish.
Yes, mine is too.
I just like that. Wave like a mad woman. That's me.
I even have on my laptop, I have an Apple, and there's this little sticky notes thing. It looks like a sticky note that you can stick to your computer, but it's on the screen, and I have to type things onto my sticky notes constantly. Otherwise, I'm going to forget. So
I mean, that's why. I mean, I have notes and I have checklists for every time because, like, who has brain for that? I mean, we're getting really bad with remembering stuff because we have all these things that remember instead of us.
yeah.
So, yeah. So I wanted to ask, I think, just in general, why did you want to, I told you, we talked about this a bit before we started, that most of us who start reading tarot immediately goes to, I want to create a deck. But, not all of us create tarot decks, especially tarot, because Oracle is much more easier, like, honestly. But tarot is quite a, difficult one to create something that can be used by so many people. So why did you actually started creating a tarot deck?
Well, because I'm a forgetful person, before I forget, I need to address the Oracle thing. I am working on it's early, but I'm working on an Oracle deck for my third deck. And I found that writing an Oracle deck is so difficult to do compared to writing a tarot deck. Just because they can go so many different ways unless you narrow it down. And then sometimes, depending on the words you use on the cards, the ideas can start to feel similar to each other. At least with me, not with Oracle.
I had that. Yeah,
reading them, I'm like, if you have what was one? I have 2 cards in this next deck in the future. One is for courage and one is for bravery. And I'm like,
wow.
They sound really similar, but one is more immediate than the other. Yeah. So, but with the tarot deck, as far as creating it, I absolutely love creating it. And I love because every card has such a different, just in general, if you pick up a tarot deck, every card has such a different feel to it. And I think it's kind of started out, I wanted to create a tarot deck that I really related to. And I really love cute things. I love little woodland forest creatures. And I think when I was growing up, I always had like animal toys instead of baby dolls, so like My Little Pony and all sorts of things.
My Little Bots, I had it too.
I'm just like all about the cuteness. So I really wanted a tarot deck that I really wanted to use for myself. And then it kind of turned into, I wanted to create a tarot deck that other people would enjoy. And of course, nerves set in. I'm like, I need to hire an artist. And what if people don't like it? And what if it doesn't do well? You have a lot, because you're putting yourself out there. I think that is the scariest thing, is just putting yourself out there and hoping people like what you've created. And because it's kind of like, how it feels that you're creating. It's like your baby that you're creating. It's so small. And
it's hard to watch other people talk about it and not be like, I meant it that way. I meant it this, like it can be. I can understand.
I'm sometimes even like, I don't want to read the comments because what if someone says something, and everyone is, I don't want anyone to ever feel like they can't express their opinion, but I'm such a sensitive person. I'm like, don't make me cry. but it seemed to be well received, and I was so happy because something that I created, people love. And I think another great thing that came out of it is it kind of opens me up to this world of like, I've met so many people from different walks of life. And I feel like with you, I feel like even before we came onto live, I feel like I know you because I know you from all the chats. And it's almost like, being apart from an old friend for a long time and then getting back together and like nothing has changed. It's that kind of feeling. So, and I really... and I really do appreciate all the support, and that's why it's so important to me. Like when I'm talking to people, if someone emails me, my opinion is they've taken the time to email me. And I don't want to just send back a 1-sentence response. I want to respond back. Sometimes that's why sometimes a email might take me a little bit longer, because I don't want to send back a short response. I want people to know that you've bought our creation, and it's completely appreciated. And I owe you my time and my, just trying to get the words out, but I can't explain it right. Basically, I want people to feel seen. They've supported me, and that's so appreciated. And it's what has allowed me to now, this is what I do. I can create decks for a living, and that's the best feeling in the world. It's just the connection that I've made. So the tarot deck itself is wonderful, but getting to know people, especially working from home. I mean, I've worked jobs where you actually get up and go to a physical job. Yeah. And I feel like I have formed more friendships with people I've never met than I have ever formed with people that I've worked with and have seen every single day. So it's a nice thing, especially when you work from home and don't get out as much.
I mean, your social life is online. I mean, I think for most of us. Yeah. And I just wanted to say that,
be honest with people, I mean, that's why, like, if something ever happens, I like to let people know, and people like to know these things, instead of you keeping them in the dark. Like, if there's something wrong with, not that I've had a huge issue with the decks, but I think, going back to where you drew a card to decide whether or not you wanted to purchase the old-fashioned coin. I remember originally in the Kickstarter, I wanted to have printing on the inside of the box. And I got some sample decks, and the edges of the cards had black marks on them. And I was like,
I have a deck like that, and I don't care, honestly. Yeah. When I saw that it was discounted, I was like, this was the reason for discounting? What?
It's CD too, though. It's like, I was like, I can't send it out like that. But
I was very appreciative for the price drop, because that made me, it made it possible for me to get it. So I'm like.
Well, I pulled a card, and it was the very first card that I actually pulled from an old-fashioned thorn, and it was the 8 of Wands. And I was like, this is great. I've informed the printer. Hopefully they'll like jump right into action and just we'll get it solved. And they've been really, really good. Any problems that I've had, they've worked with me to resolve. And what's nice about the second deck is we know exactly what's going on. We know what to do, what not to do. And that's what you learn. And I mean, I would say, like, when creating a tarot deck, if anyone ever wants to create a tarot deck, by all means, if you ever had questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I always encourage anyone to create a tarot deck or an oracle deck, or even if it's personal use, it's just a really good experience. And it's a good learning experience as well. Helps you to connect with the cards. A bit like when you, not that I have, but when people modify a deck, they edge the cards, or they trim them.
I do that a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they say that it makes them feel more connected to the deck. It's kind of sort of along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it makes it more mine, because, it's more, I don't even know how to say that, shaped to my liking, or how to say that, especially with trimming the decks, because I have small hands. So if they are, huge cards, there are some decks that I really want, but I can't get because they are the big oracle size cards.
Yeah.
There's the one with the some witches. There's a tarot with witches in the name, which uses the major arcana in backwards.
Oh, right. I don't know. I'm sure I'd know it. I'm sure I would recognize it.
Yeah, it was all over the place because everybody loves it, and it looks really interesting, and I really want it, but the size is just too big. So I'm like,
yeah. My largest tarot deck that I own is the Oculi Occultati Tarot. It's by a creator, or I think it's the artist, Radomil Boguslavsky, I think is the name. And it's a huge deck. It's bigger than the palm of my hand. But it's just so beautiful. I don't think I could ever, even though I don't use it as often as I'd like to, I think it's one of those decks where I would never be able to part with it, even though the cards are so big. But yeah. So I understand the size of decks. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that when I first emailed you, replied to the what is it called, newsletter sent out, I honestly wasn't expecting a reply, because I was just so excited. I think I was just like, oh, dragon deck or something like that, and I was surprised that you replied back. So
I'm chatty. I like talking to people. I think that's also
these are the things that we appreciate from. I mean, that's why. if someone leaves a comment on my channel, I know that I have a small channel, so it's not like I have thousands of comments. That's different. But I always try to at least like it if I don't have anything, or just to say thank you because someone took their time to actually comment, and these things matter. So
definitely. And I mean, I always like to, I think I ran a Kickstarter kind of like how I wanted a Kickstarter to be run if I was backing someone. Not that I think that anyone should have to, any creator should have to post every single week. I think like a bi-weekly update is just fine. But I'm like, I never want anyone to feel like they've been forgotten or like, I have your money now, let me make my money, But and plus I work from home, so I like talking to people and getting their perspective, and the emails have been lovely. I mean, I love how people will email me and just tell me how much they love the deck. I'm like, oh, thank you. It's a really great thing knowing that someone has finally found a deck or any tarot. It could be any tarot deck, but in this case, they found a deck that they love and they're going to use. And I know that kind of feels like it's found a new home. The critters have found a new home. So, but as far as I know that we've gone all in circles, but I just love. I think with the dragons, I just love dragons growing up, and I saw Adam's illustrations of dragons that he did. I'm like, that has to be what we create next. And I wanted it to kind of feel like there were dragons in Oak, Ash, and Thorn all along, but they were kind of hiding and you didn't look closely enough. They might have been up in a tree or like hiding underneath like a rock or in an acorn cap or whatever.
The acorns were
and now they've just kind of come out and now you can see them and they want to be your friends.
I mean, and I know that I talk about a lot about the deck already, even though I don't have it, which is like weird. But I was just thinking that even though I'm saying that this is going to be my soul deck and the Oak, Ash, and Thorn is the placeholder, because I kind of feel like that. But I know that even if it's not like that, it's going to be one of those dragon decks that I can actually look at and be like, those are my kind of dragons. Because my very first live, I think, that was the first one we did with Jax from Tarot Tales. We went through all the dragon decks.
I remember that. I think I made it for about 15 minutes and I was late to it. And you were talking about all the different dragon decks, which looked amazing, by the way.
Yeah, they do. I mean, like I said, they are amazing, but not my kind of dragons. So when I heard that, you guys, Adam is illustrating the dragons, I was like, and since then, he created with Lisa Robertson a cat deck as well. And I'm like, that was the cat deck that I was waiting for. So I'm going to have a cat deck finally, because those cats look like my cats. Because I have, I looked at cats deck as well. And I just didn't see my cats. And mines are always these very simple house cats, nothing fancy. They are not... whatever. So I'm excited for that one as well. But dragons. I mean, my channel name is Dragorshi because it's dragon and Orshi. So I have a baby dragon tattoo, and the only reason that I don't have a huge one on my back is because I have a lot of birthmarks on my back. So there was just no real space for a huge ass dragon on my back. But I'm kind of thinking about putting it somewhere else.
Yeah, I have two dragon tattoos on my one on each lower shoulder, and they're like really cute. They're kind of like over, because I got them when I was 18 and I'm 40 now, but they've kind of like, they don't look as crisp as they did when they were first.
I had mine when I was 21 and I'm almost 40, so I need to retouch. But mine is the dragon who sits in the shell. The shell is still around it, just the legs are out, and the head, and it's such a cute one. So, but I'm thinking about, I want to get a full sleeve. So I was thinking about actually adding some cave or whatever, background. But I want to lose some weight before I go down that road. So.
Well, mine are like the magic dragon, cute type dragons on the lower shoulders. Like one is looking up, blowing out smoke. It's very, very cute. But so I think that kind of tells you right there. I'm like, I've always loved dragons. Like, dragon everything, please.
I mean, Yeah, there was a Hungarian puppet show thing when I was growing up, and it's about a one-headed dragon, and that
Yeah.
was my ultimate favorite ever, and it's still so good that my 10 months old nephew, he's watching the episodes as well, because even though he
Aw.
doesn't understand anything, the whatever it's called, the episodes are still so good.
Yeah.
And I grew up on that, so I don't think I ever not loved dragons.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those people who says that dragons are real and they live somewhere around Scotland or Ireland, your area. So
Yeah.
I need to go and find one.
And visit me.
I mean, you need to go out and look for them.
Yes.
Oh, we have Chris, but he just dropped in to say hi. Thank
Hi.
you.
Oh,
Uh,
piano. Nice.
yeah. I mean, that was his excuse to not be on my channel yesterday, because he's
Yeah,
like,
Chris. Piano
yeah,
lesson. Sure.
sure, yeah, like, well, yeah, I'm so busy, I don't want to be on your channel. Yeah, that's right. Because
Oh,
I'm starting a new type of live series, whatever, from tomorrow, and he was supposed to be the first one, but then he got COVID instead. Like,
oh God. How?
way to go. But fortunately, he's okay. So I can joke. I can be an asshole and joke about it because he feels fine.
I think he gets it though.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I just wanted to, because these conversational lives are always about a topic, but I
Yeah.
want the paper clips and lollipops about just random shit
Oh,
without.
we'll try to make that tomorrow. I'm very excited about that
Yeah,
because
and
it sounds.
I mean, you're very, very welcome to join me. And if you have some free time and you just want to
Yeah.
blabber on for an hour at some point, just let me know. 'Cause I think we can talk about English crime shows for at least an hour.
I'll make a list.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a tattoo. So, Miria Source course. I don't think I remember about them.
I
Yes,
don't either.
but get a tattoo.
It's like one of those things where when someone mentions a tarot deck, I'm like, I know I've seen it. I just can't think of what it looks like right now. But in my head, I think I know which one he's talking about. Oh yeah,
Yes,
nice.
yeah, and there's a lot of Asian dragons in decks as well. But I'm a Western dragon person. I mean, I think it's because of the fantasy books that I grew up reading.
Yeah.
They deal with the Western dragons. So, like, I have nothing against Asian ones. I mean, this one is one,
Yeah.
but I'm more into the Western ones. Yeah, he got COVID. I know. I mean, talk about timing. I'm just saying. Okay, so we talked about why dragons. We haven't talked about how did you find Adam. I think I mean, I watched your live with I forgot the person. I'm so sorry. The Finnish. There was an
Yes.
hour long live stream. I watched it.
Yes. That's one of the shops. They carry my decks. I
Oh,
have
it's a
some
shop. Okay.
two shops in the EU that carry them. One in Amsterdam and one in Finland. And it kind of feels like with both of them, it's like the same thing. Like we all kind of run in the same tarot circles, so they kind of feel like friends more than people that I, wholesale decks to. But see that's my mind again.
No, I just wanted to ask you
Oh,
how did you find
Adam.
Adam? Let's talk
Yes,
about Adam.
let's talk about Adam. Yes, because they asked me that we talked about that as well, and I think it's like
Oh yeah, that's what I started asking.
I stalked him. Like, I love your artwork. And I didn't think he'd say yes, because to create a tarot deck, it's 78 pieces of artwork that you're asking someone to create. And it's such a large chunk of their life that they're going to spend, the good portion of their time that they're going to spend creating those 78 pieces of artwork. And of course,
how much time did it take to create them?
Well, the first deck, Adam's like, I can have it done by this date. I think it took us 7 months from the time that he said that he sent me a contract over with, you know, all the ins and outs of how he works and what the fees are and everything. Yeah. So once he had that, he started, I think from what I remember, his first day illustrating was October 15th. So November, December, January, March, 6 months, you know, which is so quick. And not that I had any doubt about it, but I thought, are you going to be able to do that in 6 months? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And it never once did I think, oh, we're on the last cards. They don't look as good as when you first started. It actually looked like rushing through them. So 6 months from the time that he actually started, but we had been in talks for a few, I would say August is when I first contacted him. And I was away in the Lake District for my birthday, and that's where we kind of finalized everything. And just so exciting. And yeah, I found him on Instagram, and I added him to my list. I had a list of different artists just because I knew there's going to be people that say no, because it's such a big project.
Yeah, and some people might don't even want to do a tarot deck because they think it's like silly or whatever.
It's kind of a combination. I didn't have too much of that, or if that did exist, they didn't tell me. But mostly it was, I don't have enough time. You know, this is a lot of commissions to do. Yeah. But Adam was like always at the very top of my list, and I never thought he would say yes to me, and he did, and it was just so wonderful. And it's a good relationship. Like, he's just become a really good friend. And it's funny, when we were creating the Oak, Ash, and Thorn, I think for the first 4 months we never once talked to each other. All of our communication was by Facebook Messenger, all of it, and then we finally called each other, and it's like, again, it feels like I'm talking to an old friend. And I think we talked for over an hour because it was kind of like making up for lost time. Yeah. And just, kind of talking about where we are at with the deck and everything. And a tarot deck always turns into more work, like especially with him working on my decks. You need a box design, and I needed extra cards doing. I knew I wanted to have a hint at the next deck in the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. So
it's sitting on my altar space, the possibilities card. Yes, that's the one.
And
I was like, that's my dragon. I was so
excited. And I just loved it how I said, I want this, and he's like, okay, what do you think of this? And he sent me a sketch through. I said, that is absolutely perfect. He said, what do you want to call it? How do you want to title it? I said, I think let's call it Possibilities, so people kind of get a bit of an idea of what the next deck will be like.
I was completely clueless. I had no idea that it would mean that.
I know that a lot of, like, even with me, when I back at Kickstarter, sometimes I miss certain things, and so I think it was just missed by a lot of people. So I need to do a better job of making things a bit more.
It was just that when you get a deck, I don't think you immediately start to think about the next one that the creator might do, because you had time to get excited for the next one by the time the first one comes out. But at first, I mean, I just wanted to. I was nervous because I didn't order through the Kickstarter, that I'm not gonna get the extra cards, because I was like, that was for the Kickstarter, so maybe I missed out on the Possibilities card, but fortunately not.
I decided, like, if there's extra cards in any of the decks, hopefully I always get to a second print run. If I don't, that's okay too. But I always wanted it to be where people get like an extra card or an extra few cards in the first printing of a deck. So like with the Smoke, Ash, and Embers, I don't have a hint at the next deck in it, only because we did the 10 of Swords. There's 2 10 of Swords in the deck, and I wrote an artwork description for it. Let me see if I can find it. And it was all about like an ending to something, a really painful ending. But there was supposed to be like, he would be lying on this like land of dry, cracked, arid, muddy land. And he's, of course, in old-fashioned style, stabbed by 10 swords. And I said, but I want him to be bleeding, but I want that to be going into the cracks, and from the cracks sprouting up yellow vines, and the vines kind of look like they're comforting the dragon. So it looks terrible, not terrible, but it looks brutal. But it's actually, once you hear the artwork description for it and the reason I did it that way, it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But I was so nervous because I get this way with like animal decks too, even like with horror movies, that the dog is going to die. I'm like, no,
don't
yeah. I'm like, I don't care about the humans. I probably should. But like, to let the dog die. And I thought to myself, people may not like this, even though it was illustrated beautifully and perfectly and exactly how I wanted it to be. I thought, we need to do an alternative 10 of swords. So this is your original. I have a glare, don't I?
Yeah.
This is the computer.
I'm trying not to look, but I'm
Here we go. There. That's a bit better. So he's kind of. It looks brutal, but it's the meaning, the thought behind it is actually quite beautiful. So I said to Adam, can you do me an alternative?
Yeah. For me, this card needs to be brutal, because how I read it, this is the final. You reach the end of the downhill.
Exactly.
Road that you take. I need a lot. I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but this is an ending and there's a new beginning. But for me, it needs to be. There needs to be a card when I'm feeling like shit.
Yeah.
And I can't think about the future because I'm in that freaking hole and I don't see anything. There's no hope. I feel like shit. And I need a card like that. So, I always appreciate when there's an option for that.
Well, I was going to do an extra. It was in the plan to do an extra card that hints at the next deck, but we've had so much on, like with Adam, with the whole COVID thing. He has 3 little kids at home, and I was like, I don't want to put any more stress on him. So I said to him, can you do me an alternative 10 of swords instead of the card that hints at the next deck? Let's just do an alternative 10 of swords. There's no extra work for you. And he would have done it either way, but I was like, no, it's fine. So we decided instead we'd include an alternative 10 of swords, which is a bit gentler, I think. Yeah. So it's kind of, it's the ending, but portrayed in a much different way. He's like resting after he's just ripped these swords to bits. It's done, it's over with. We've kept those yellow flowers, and that's supposed to be like the sun kind of peeking out from the gray clouds, showing a bit of hope. And that was the thought behind it. So even though there's not a hint at the next deck, it doesn't mean that there will be a next deck. So because I thought to myself, I hope people who are expecting it, I hope they don't think that there might not be a next deck. There definitely will be.
I was hoping, and I was thinking about that after 2 tarot decks, there could be an oracle, because it's kind of like it's always nice to create a system. And I don't know how you are with Lenormand, because
I find Lenormand's very interesting. I picked up a Lenormand deck and a book, and I started practicing with it, and it just kind of got put onto a bookshelf, and life got so busy. I'm like, I can't learn a whole new system, but I love the idea of it. And I love how there's different Lenormand decks out there too, and all different themes.
I just started, and I have keywords for all the cards, and I started practicing. So, I pulled cards for today, and I pretty much pulled, how I read it was a beautiful conversation. And I was like, I'm going to have a live video today. So that's a very fitting, card combination for today. So I really enjoy the bluntness and the simplicity of the system. So,
feels like more
create a deck at some point. I'm just saying.
Well, it feels like with Lenormand, it feels like you're like classic fortune telling with the cards. Like you're like, this is what's going to happen. Yeah. Whereas like with tarot, it's more like I use them just to kind of get a different perspective on things. If I'm having a crap day and I pull out a card, I can kind of reflect on that. So if I'm going to have like, I'm trying to think, the sun card pop up or the star, I'm like, okay, I think it's going to be okay. And what can I do to make it okay? What steps can I take? So I use tarot a lot just for reflection. I read for myself than I do for other people.
Mm.
Just because I feel like I'm getting a bit intimate with the cards, and they're like an old friend. They just give me a different way of thinking about things. It was funny. My husband's work colleagues, they were joking, of course. And he was telling them about the deck. He's like, yeah, we've been, she was delayed a bit because of COVID, but it's all okay. And he was talking about the Kickstarter. He's like, she had no idea that it would, people would like it so much. They're like, well, she reads tarot cards. She should have known it. I'm like, ha. That's very, very funny. But Lenormand feels very, very fortune telling me, which is, I think, a really cool thing.
It's for me, it feels like something that I would use for everyday questions, like, I gonna get this job, or is this person loves me, or are we gonna broke off, stuff like that. But with tarot, it really is the deep issue, like why this job is good for me or why not, what am I supposed to learn from this. That's, for me, tarot is more on the let's learn from the situation, and Lenormand so far it's like, let's get some answers that I can actually act on.
Yes.
And I did a reading yesterday where I used the two together, and that was very interesting because I kind of felt like the Lenormand cards were giving me a more precise answer on what the tarot cards were talking about. So I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna do that a lot when I use Lenormand more, and I can, because the combinations can be like, what does it even mean?
It's a really great thing with the different systems. And my mother is very old school with tarot. She was like, one deck, and there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with this whatsoever. But she's a one deck person. She's like, do you wrap your deck in silk? Do you sleep with your deck? You have more than one deck? Why would you have more than one deck? I'm like, I can't. First of all, I'm not sleeping with my decks. I'm no.
I never heard that, fortunately.
But I'm like, I do keep them. I keep them in. I have this like built-in wardrobe, and my side of the bed has its own like wardrobe that goes from the floor to the ceiling, and I keep them there. Not all of them, but the ones that I'm actively using. But I'm like, no, I can't sleep with my decks. I'll ruin them. I can't ruin my decks.
Exactly.
But she's recently getting it.
I have my collection over here because I moved everything after I filmed my collection video, because that's what I do. I showed where my decks live, and then 2 days later I rearranged everything. So because I wanted to have a new reading space, because I'm watching Deanne, and hers series on the archetype. There's an archetype oracle deck, and Deanne Blue Crest. I want to put her name on the screen. I mean, here. So Deanne has a very good live series about the deck, where she talks about the cards and everything. And now I want the deck as well.
Yeah.
And she has a very cool floor-based space where she films the videos, where she watches them and stuff like that. And I was like, I love sitting on the floor, so I need to make one. So I'm almost finished I made a little corner. So I moved everything around, of course, because why not? And I don't know what I wanted to say with this, because that was not what I started talking about. Why do you have more than one decks? And I'm like, because they all look differently. It's 78 little piece of artwork. So I have many collections and many art galleries in my home. So why not?
And it's cool that you could use your different systems together, and different like you could use an oracle deck with a tarot deck, or like I find a good match for Oak-Ashen Thorn is the Whispering Spirits. There was a challenge by someone on Instagram did a challenge, like this tarot challenge. They do quite a bit and they're really good, but it was the Whispering Woods challenge, and it was really interesting to see how people use that oracle deck with the Oak-Ashen Thorn, and they do challenges for all sorts of decks. So it's nice to see things paired together in different ways and using systems together. And I just think it kind of broadens your perspective on the cards, and if you journal with your cards, I bet you can get a lot of really interesting things out of combining your deck.
I don't, but I know a lot of people do that. I mean, I don't have time to journal. I just that's just.
I'm like very OCD. I don't need enough handwriting for me to really want. Like I will journal, but like I'm always like, why can't I have beautiful handwriting like this person?
You know what? If you have crappy handwriting, I suggest fountain pens because fountain pen ink makes everything more beautiful. And I know that we're almost at an hour, but if you have questions, then we can go them through. So I know that
we're really chatty. We're really chatty.
So you have to come on my random stream as well, so we can just talk away. Because I'm like, oh, but we have a topic, and I know that I'm avoiding talking about the deck, but that's because I hate spoilers. So I'm really sorry.
I'm happy to answer any questions about it.
And I was thinking that Jonathan mentioned that you guys will have a live countdown or something when the pre-order ends or something.
Oh yeah, I think Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan mentioned that.
I think I'm doing live with him like is it the last hour that pre-order?
Jonathan said that, but I might be, and he's suggesting calligraphy class, which
Yeah. I think it'd be interesting to take a calligraphy class as well.
Yeah, I think so.
Beautiful handwriting.
I mean, I wish, but I'm kind of happy with mine since I'm using fountain pens because it just makes everything more prettier. And sorry, Patrice is leaving. If she's leaving, I'm really sorry. I'm sorry if we missed a question. So if anybody has a question, because I know that I saw people talking about, and I hope you guys are enjoyed our conversation because I did, I know, but it's kind of hard to have a conversation and look at the chat at the same time.
I'm really terrible at it. I'm sorry if I've missed any questions.
But there were people like Ray mentioned that she likes it when people creators update on Kickstarter, and my first and only Kickstarter so far was the Hero Rise Masculine deck, and I really did appreciate Isaac updating just randomly that, hey, this is what's happening, we're doing the boxes or whatever. So
I find like instead of making like anything that happens with our deck along the way, instead of making excuses for it, it's always just best just be open and honest with people. I think people appreciate that.
I mean, I think people are understanding, so it's not like they just hate it when they don't know about the problem, and then there's a delay and they didn't know about it.
Yeah,
I think that's more annoying.
Yeah, so just best to keep people in the loop, I think.
Yeah. I completely forget to say, but I linked Stephanie's Instagram. You should follow it, and Adam, you can find Adam as well, and you should follow him as well if you want to see beautiful artwork, especially from the decks, because he posts these regularly as well. And the preview site is posted down below because it's going to be live on the 31st of October.
Right? Yes.
And it's gonna go on for a month, so no need to panic if you don't have money on the day it goes on.
I'm like, stay up. Some people are like, oh, I'm gonna stay up. I'm like, you don't have to. You don't have to stay up. Get sleep, and then it's open all month long. I don't want people to feel like they're pressured into like they have to, because I know like the Kickstarter when I did it, I had so many early birds, 50 each, and they went so quickly. And I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I just want them to be open for as long as we can. And then the purpose of those pre-orders is essentially to get a feel for how many people want the deck, and then I can place an order. And I always place an order for more decks, but the month is where you get the lower pricing on the deck, and it includes the extras. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know I was very happy to hear because I get paid on the 5th of every month. So for me, I mean, I could do it, but it's more relaxed. I mean, I'm more relaxed because I know I can spend more money on the extra stuff as well.
Yeah,
because I think you mentioned it in the newsletter that there's gonna be things discounted or there was some extra special deal for other things in the shop?
Yeah, so I'll have like all the normal oak, ash, and thorn stuff. Oak, ash, and thorn itself won't have a discount on it, so, but it'll have a discount when you buy them together as a bundle. But there's stickers and print packs, and I'll have print packs for the dragon deck, like 2 different ones. I'll have sticker packs for the both decks, and those will have early bird pricing that whole month. So if you wanted to like get everything shipped together, that's probably the best way to do it. But anything that's of that dragon theme, everything's a pre-order. So like, for instance, if you order, let's pretend you're not buying the dragon deck, but you want to buy the dragon stickers, then I would wait, like depending on what you buy. Basically, the smoke, ash, and embers, all that stuff would ship out March or April. I don't think COVID will delay us too much, because I've allowed for plenty of time. But March or April is what I've been told should be a safe date to tell people that I'll start shipping out decks. And I'm a shipping fiend, so I will be lots of late nights packaging orders, and I love packaging.
You're gonna do it alone or with your husband?
The husband, he wraps the decks in, how like they come in that compostable clear sleeve. Yeah. He's the one who wraps them all in the compostable clear sleeves, and then I wrap them in the tissue paper, and then basically he does the compostable clear sleeves. I should have said that a lot of times, haven't I? But that's so helpful that he does that, because it just takes so much time to do those sort of things. So it's a joint effort, and I might get my friend Katie to join in and help me with.
I wish I would live closer, because I would just love to help out.
I think the last time my friend Katie, she was like helping me sort out the ribbons for the tarot cloths. The ribbons, they had a lot of like fraying on them. So, and she's a seamstress, so she was like sat there like defraying the ribbons.
So that's the tarot cloth.
That was what she did when we did the oak, ash, and thorn. It came with the tarot cloth, the dragon deck, the tarot cloth. But I think I'm gonna wrangle her into like helping me wrap things in tissue paper. It's just all the little things that help, depending on how many I have to dispatch. So I'm hoping
hopefully a lot.
I was like getting to a second printing eventually, and then that gets me a step closer to doing deck number 3. I'm constantly on the move. I constantly have to be creating something. So
especially that now this is your main thing you do, so it's not just like a side thing.
Yeah, it feels kind of like I'm like, I think I said earlier, like I'm sending out my little friends to their new homes, and it's important that things are packaged in a way.
And a lot of people are very appreciative, when you can actually, I had to go with make playing cards for my oracle, because I asked around in Hungarian printers, and one deck obviously is not the same as getting a few, but it costs double the price, and then I would have to ship, and who knows how the post office handles things. So I was like, I'm gonna go with the easiest way for me currently. But
there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's such a difficult thing locating a print. If you go the route that I did, it took a lot of time to locate a printer who could do exactly what I wanted.
But I loved it, cardstock, and
and the printer, recommended a lot of different things, and the deck turned out differently than I imagined it in my head. As far as like, I think originally I wanted to do like gold gilding when I was first starting out, but I'm like,
no, we don't need that.
Well, anything extra. My main concern is that not all unless you have someone really good to do your decks, not all gilding is created equal. There's different types of gilding, and in my OCD brain, if there's anything wrong with it, I don't think so one less thing to have to think about get wrong. So I love gilding on decks. For me, I'm like, I just want to keep it simple and make sure, like, at least I know if there's no gilding on it, I'm not gonna look at a deck and see a little teeny tiny nick on the side of my deck and think, oh God, people are not going to like this. What am I going to do? So it's one less thing to think about. Because the more printing processes you add onto a deck, the more likely there's going to be setbacks and problems. So I was like, I'm going to just eliminate any possibility of something going wrong, and that's what I did. But
I mean, a gold gilding would suit the deck because it's white, so
yeah.
But my problem is with all the gildings, and I removed my the Shadowland Tarot comes gilded, and I removed it because it just cuts into my hand, and I don't like handling decks with gold gilding. So I'm happy I didn't have to do anything with this one. No trimming, no.
Make it easy to, like, if you wanted to edge your deck yourself, you could edge it in whatever way you wanted to edge it.
Yeah, but it's white, and I think it's perfect, and it doesn't need one. I mean, it's just my opinion, obviously, but I did
talk to my printer, again earlier into the process, like not a long time ago, but when we were first starting to look around at printers, I thought, well, maybe a painted edge, do like a matte gold edge onto it. But again, there's a chance that could rub off onto your hands. They're like, we don't feel comfortable doing it. I said, that's completely understandable. Again, one less thing to have to worry wrong. Mm-hmm. But I love decks that have gilding. And I look at some of these decks, I'm like, it looks so good. I wish mine had this. But I think it does look pretty because you have those stark white backs.
Yeah, it's just so simple and clean. I really like that,
I love a used deck. Like, there's nothing more beautiful than a deck that looks like it's really been broken in and used. So, like,
I'm the same.
I like dirty edges and, like, the oils of your hands getting onto the edges.
I mentioned it I mentioned it somewhere that I have this thing in my head that I don't have the Everyday Witch Tarot in full size yet. I have the mini, but I can't work with it because it's too small. But for some reason, I want the deck I want the deck to be used. So I will have to go around and look around if someone is selling a used copy, because for some reason I want it to be used, and I don't know. I can't explain it. It's just. I mean, I like used books as well, so maybe that's why I like used decks, because it's a tool, and if you use it, it shows that it's been loved.
Well, my mother has it's a Marseille deck of is it a JJ one? I'm terrible with names. One JJ Smith. What is it? I know. Yeah, and whenever she would bring out her cards, they look old and used because she bought this. It's always been her deck, and they look worn in and a bit like tatty. And the book that she uses to kind of figure out the meanings, the pages are falling out of the book, and it's like, I love this. I want my deck. Way, like any deck that I have, but I love worn in decks.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Jonathan said that he loves the white, and I was the same, because I have a thing for trimming decks, but I was looking through, and if the deck would have had clean edges on the artwork, I might have done it. I might have trimmed it, but because it looks like a tiny painting on paper, I'm like, no, it needs to, because it shows. That's my favorite thing about watercolor, and it shows in the deck. So I'm like, I'm not touching it. Yeah, the one JJ Swiss. That was something that I was, interested in getting. Ooh. Jonathan's own has a copy from the 70s. That's really cool. I mean, I'm really sad because nobody in my family read tarot or anything like that ever. So, I don't have anybody who was like, hey, here's the deck, when I was small. And I know everything happens for a reason and when it's supposed to happen. But yeah. Oh, look, we have Lisa.
Hi, Lisa. Hello.
Time for the ending. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please ask, because we're gonna finish up soon, because we're already over the hour. But I don't know. If we talked about where to find the deck, where to find you, anything you want to, mention about that we haven't talked about?
Well, I'm on Instagram, 3 Trees Tarot, with little underscores between the words. The pre-order page, so if you go to 3treestarot.co.uk, there's actually it's in the like the banner at the top of the page, it'll say Dragon Deck Preview, and that'll bring. I worked on that, I think, for about a year. I tried to be as thorough as I possibly could with it, again, like any questions that I would have had, I wanted to answer, and I wanted to answer it in a way that was easy to understand. But there are spoilers on there, so if you
I was
like, I know
just looking at the text. I was like, I'm not looking at the text.
But that's a different thing. Like when I first did my Kickstarter, I didn't really have a lot of decks to send out. I was so new to it, so I didn't have really any walkthroughs of my deck before it came out. But I'm like, I'm going to print out some prototypes, and my printer gave me a really good price for the prototypes, which was nice. And I was like, right, I'm going to send them out and see what people think, and if any of them decide to do a walkthrough, which wasn't mandatory because I really just wanted to get opinions. People can see everything about the deck beforehand. So I feel a bit more confident in the fact that if someone's going to purchase the Smoke, Ash, and Embers, I'm like, maybe they've watched the walkthroughs and they know that they like it. And I kept it exactly the same as Oak, Ash, and Thorn because people, for the most part, I got really good responses to the cardstock plus OCD brain. I'm like, I can't change it because it won't match, and I need it to be matching together. So same GSM cardstock, same laminate. Like I wanted everything to be the same because I wanted you to be able to use them together if you wanted to, even though the backs are different and the font is slightly different. Yeah, so, but I love how they look. I love how they look together. So like here's your full. And it kind of looks like a.
They were meant to be next to each other, exactly.
And that's his little. I tried. That's the Oak, Ash, and Thorn. The snails, the little snail, right there. I kind of tried.
I was so happy that the chariot was a snail because I have a snail, and I was always a snail person. Whatever kid, my mom told me that when I was like 2 or 1 years old, no, it had to be more than 1 or around 1. I was just walking around in the garden and putting snails on my stomach. I was just walking them, and I just collecting the snails there because I don't know. I always loved earthworms and snails for some reason.
I was like that, but with frogs.
I love frog. I'm a frog rescuer in the family, so yeah.
Well, when I was younger, I grew up in upstate New York, and we had a pool, and the frogs would always come in the pool, and I'd fish them out in the morning, and it just, I was never like afraid of those types of things.
No, I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a dog, and sometimes my mom comes in like, there's a frog that needs rescuing, and I'm like, okay, I'm going.
I like to rescue spiders. I don't like to put them outside either. Like we have a spider in our house. Normally I'll just keep him inside just because he probably has a family, don't want to have to fight his way back in anyway. So
I have a contract with them. I'm like, my room is big enough. If you live, in those areas, if you come too close to my bed, then things might happen. And I'm partial to daddy long legs. I'm not killing them because they are not out there to get me, but the other times like, I'm sorry.
The spiders are there. They serve a good purpose. They eat all the other things you don't want in your house, so that's good.
We had a few years ago, we had a really bad stink bug infestation in Hungary. It was just horrible, and I hate them all. I'm sorry, I just hate them. And my mom keeps this big spider, but not the daddy long legs, but those that has a really sharp pointy legs, and it's stripes. It has stripes, and it just looks menacing. And my mom keeps it in the kitchen because like it catches the stink bug, so we're keeping it. I'm like, yeah, but it's so huge.
Plus, I saw a really cute little comic. It wasn't a comic; it was like a little thing, illustrations online, and basically it hinted at the fact that if you have any spare money, spare change in your couch, it's the spiders paying the rent.
Oh,
which I find really cute. Like you can see the spiders. I'm spiders.
Yeah, my relationship with spiders drastically changed in the stink bugs because now they are enemy number 1. So
I don't blame you.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, Jonathan made a video, and I haven't watched it yet, but at some point I will. Oh, Ray grew up in Western New York. Is that Western? W? Oh, we will go frogging. Yeah. Is that catching frogs?
I think
No, I
so.
don't want to do that. I mean, yeah, but tarot. If someone's name has tarantulas in it, you will assume that there are some spiders. But I think those are, like pets or animals. I don't look at tarantulas as spiders anymore because they are just so huge. Oh, cool. Is it the walkthrough for the deck?
Yay!
Right? I'm getting it right. Okay, I'm not gonna watch it when it comes out because I'm waiting
Don't
for
watch
my
it.
deck.
Don't watch it. No, do watch it, but or she
I
don't
will
watch.
watch. Yeah, I'm not the.
Everyone else
Other
watch
people,
it.
everybody else should watch it.
Yes.
I'm going to
Or
watch
she
it
doesn't
later.
want spoilers. So or she, you're
Yeah,
forbidden. You must
yeah.
stay off the computer.
I hate spoilers, so I'm not watching it yet, but I will. Oh, jumping spiders. There was a horror movie, Arachnophobia. What
Yeah.
and there was a huge jumping spider in it. I was like, no.
There is a spider breeder. You might have come across her. I think on Facebook and Instagram. It's called Ophelia the Monster. She breeds spiders, and they're adorable.
Why? Why would you do that?
It's just, they're adorable. I also like bats too, so I'm just like, yeah, I like it.
Yeah,
I like
no. Yeah, so I was just already excusing myself for why I'm not going to be the first one commenting that, oh, this is so cute and whatever, because I'm waiting for mine. But once I get mine, I'm gonna go around and just watch everything because I mean, I'm kind of behind with YouTube with everybody else's videos these days because work is just blah. But
and I've been following Lisa's tarot training wheels, which I liked. I left a comment on it. She saw it though about the courts. She did the court cards, which I find especially difficult, but they were broken down in a really good way. So I liked that. It's really interesting to see.
I mean, I have all the videos saved on my watch list, but I know that I want to make notes when I'm watching them. So I keep putting them off because I'm like, I can't watch them as a background when I'm working. I wanted to have, time and space to sit down and watch the video and actually learn from it. So I'm behind those. And
I've made my husband sit through some of the tarot training wheels. I'm like, look at this. This is like a really good breakdown of the cards. And I like how they're the keywords that she uses. So
yeah, exactly. That's why, I mean, I don't have a deck that I want to write the keywords on because I don't have any decks that I would do that. So I'm thinking about just, making a list in my notebook. And I'm not Googling any jumping spiders. I mean, okay. Everybody else loves spiders, so it seems so.
You're in a minority.
Question: will the colors be bolder in the actual deck as opposed to the prototypes? So will there be a difference?
The prototypes are just, they're printed on a different kind of paper and they're printed with a different process. I couldn't tell you exactly what it's called, but they use a different process for small runs than they do for larger runs. So I would imagine that the colors will look not massively different, but there is a chance that they will look different just because the prototypes are exactly what they are. They're not the final deck, which the final decks always look, I can't even say because I've never really, I think the only prototype that I ordered was from a company in the States. They're in Orlando. I forget what they're called, but you would recognize the name if I could think of it. But I only had 2 decks printed. So this is the first time that I'm getting actual prototypes, but they did tell me that it's a different paper, it's a different printing, so I would imagine that the colors would be slightly different in the finished product.
I mean, in the future, I will be doing, next to the 2 of them next to each other once I get both decks, because I want to do that too, because just
the corners, like I didn't have them round the corners because it cost a lot of extra money to have.
I will do that. I mean, I saw that they are not rounded, but I'm like, I have a corner rounder ready, so
I didn't tell. I was gonna send them to people corner rounded, but my corner rounder was being disagreeable, so it's like I'll just do them this way.
Yeah, but I think it's okay because Simon, I saw that because in a live he just randomly pulled the card, and I was like, no, why are you doing that? And he used a bigger round or angle or whatever it's called that I would be using, because I'm going to be using the smallest that will give me a more squarish look. So
yeah.
I mean, I don't have the occasion tour because it's safely tucked away over there, but I just wanted to look at it, how it looks. But we have Diane here. Diane was the one who asked if I'm getting the deck. So she was so nice. She was so nice.
Aww.
Yeah. I suspect there was like bump in saturation. Probably, yeah, I would say. Especially because they know that is just for, a prototype, so it's not something that you want to sell. I think they know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
right. Okay. Yeah.
okay.
I haven't actually put him next to. It's funny because sitting next to me, I won't even move my computer, but I have both decks. I actually put my Oak, Ash, and Thorn back in order. I'm like, you never know. So I have them sitting next to each other, but I'll have to look. But I would imagine that's a good point. Unless it's like something in the artwork, but we always check that beforehand. I'm getting proof prints. I ordered it's like these big sheets that have all the cards printed on the exact same paper with the exact same lamination. So they send a copy to me and a copy to Adam, so Adam can look through and see if any adjustments need to be made if it's not exactly right. So I should be getting that. I wanted to have all this done before we head into pre-orders, just because I want it to be where I can just call my printer up and say, right, go print me this many copies, and then there's no delays. So I try to get as much of the back end stuff done ahead of time. So I want to get them out there as quickly as possible. That was my.
Yeah, everybody is ordering it. I mean, I don't think that anyone who's getting a prototype is not ordering the deck. But that's a good idea, because Jonathan said that, leaving the sharp corners, it helps differentiate the deck. So that. I mean, I just want to see how sharp it actually is, because it might not be too, annoying. I like square decks actually.
I don't have any square decks, but I remember when I was first talking to the printer about the Oak, Ash, and Thorn and how we were going to print it, they're like, do you want rounded corners or square corners? I'm like, well, I have to have them rounded. But there's nothing nicer than a sharp corner, but they're just that then they get bent up and
and they might cut into people's hand. No.
So
I used the squarest option as well, because I was like, I can keep it.
Yeah. Well, they have rounded corners that are still rounded, but they're like the small, like you said, like they're like the smallest. Yeah, but they're still curved, which is a nice thing.
Yeah. Hey, Gerald. Yes, you're late, but we're still here because we talk a lot. So
I like his what the little square picture. What do you call that of him with his name next to it, like his little profile photo, tarot stash.
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
This one.
Hi.
I mean, I think because his mustache is too big and gorgeous and beautiful, he had to use it in such a way. Oh, we have Candy as well. Everyone's coming in late, so you guys have to rewatch everything.
One of those names I instantly recognized.
Yeah, I mean, I love Candy's channel. I mean, I wanted to do this video for like 6 months now. My favorite tarot tubers and favorite non-tarot related YouTube channels.
Yeah.
But I just keep pushing it back, but I really have to do it, and Candy is gonna be on it, because her channel has such a magical storybook kind of feel that I'm like, I don't even understand how she didn't have a channel before.
Like, how are you?
Yeah, it's like so perfect for this. So yeah. Okay, so any questions before we maybe finish? I'm not saying for sure, because
I could keep going.
Yeah, I mean, not if he's supportive of you doing it, then I think it's
Yeah. My husband used to think like when I first got into tarot, and then when I was creating a deck, I didn't tell him I was creating a deck originally. He just thought I was reading tarot all the time. I'm like, I'm not reading tarot all the time. I'm studying and I'm writing cards. He's like, what do you mean? I said, I decided I'm going to write a tarot deck. He's like, oh, it's just, he thought it was really weird, tarot. Just weird. I was like, what do you mean weird? He's like, I don't know, it's just weird. I said, well, can you tell me something specific about tarot that you think is weird? It's just weird. I'm like, oh.
That's not a real answer.
That's not a real answer. But as I started creating and he was, the whole conversation broaching on hiring an artist was an interesting one, but he's always been very supportive. He always jokes around about how when I first asked him, I want to hire this artist, which was Adam, and can I spend this much money on this art, on this project? And he'll tell people about how he thought it was the worst idea in the world. He's like, she's going to create a tarot deck. This can't go well. And but he always brings this up. He said, but she's always been very supportive. He likes going to football matches. So he goes to Europe and watches his team away. Okay. And he's like, well, she's always supportive and lets me do the things that I want to do, that I thought that's the least I can do. So
that's perfectly enough.
And now he knows the cards for the most part. Like I'll be
he was in Glastonbury. He was in Glastonbury for the tarot.
And he was so wonderful and like just he never like looked uncomfortable or anything like that. But he's like a social butterfly. I'm the more introverted of the two of us, but he evens me out. And it was he thought it was really great how I, because he knows these names too, like I met Simon and I met this person, I met this person. He's like, oh, I know that name. I said, yeah. So, but yeah, he just thought tarot was weird at first, but I don't think I'll ever get him to read the cards, but I've done some readings for him, which I think is pretty well. I don't read for many people.
Yeah, so. But my family, we were always open to spiritual things. One of my sisters is a Reiki master, and for some reason she never went down the cards route, but when I found tarot, it just really just clicked for me. And we were always open, and some of my family members come to read, they ask for readings, and some of them are like, yeah, just do it, like yeah, you can do this, it's okay. So it's just, but nobody, I'm fortunate because I don't have to hide it. Nobody is like, oh, this is from the devil and stuff like that. So yeah,
I'm kind of like, it's just pieces of paper with cute little critters on it. It's not evil. Because occasionally on Instagram where you'll have people who will make a comment, and of course I'll delete it. They'll talk about tarot being of a certain way, and I'm like, oh, have you seen?
So I'm lucky because
out there.
Yeah, nobody ever. There was one troll at some live that was like, the capital letters and like the Lord's Jesus, and like I don't even know what the comment was all about. I'm like, oh, my first troll, delete. So
I can show you a number of tarot decks. Like this is my favorite. Besides, because it's different from creating a deck, but that's my favorite deck. That's
the funny one.
And it started out with this. I'm like, how can you think this is evil?
Exactly.
How? There's no way. But what's really cool, what I like about the box is that if I ever put my crystals, I can sit them on top of the box and it looks like I'm charging them in the moon.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So cute. But I know everyone has their opinions, but my husband got on board and he knows the cards. Like when I was creating the second deck, he's like, so you're working on this card, which was this card in the Oak Ash and Thorn. I remember it, and it's amazing what he remembers and what he picks up, and how he knows like a certain card can have this kind of meaning. So, but I would never, if you did.
Yeah. Did he ask any questions that helped you look at the cards differently, because he's coming from such an outsider, perspective that could be helpful?
I so. I mean, he'll sometimes look at a card and not really have an idea of what it means. I'm like, well, just look at the picture and see, like, how does it make you feel? And he can kind of tell me what he thinks it is. And that's another thing about tarot is I don't think, like, with tarot, there's any real right or wrong with it. Like, people feel different things from different cards, and who am I to tell people how they should feel? So, I think he could bring in a different perspective to it.
Yeah, I was just thinking that could be something that.
But I did love Glastonbury. Loved Glastonbury. No short of incense in Glastonbury. My husband loved incense. But it was, anything you could think of that you want. I saw these amazing. It was like, God, was it like? It's like these wings, these crow raven wings, but they said that it was taxidermy, but they said it was like taxidermy that was acquired in a way that's not cruel to the animal. I'm not sure what that means. Maybe if the animal was found.
I think they I think that's when they go into forest and they collect. Animals.
But anything you could think of. It's like a wonderland for anything tarot and oracle, and you kind of feel like you're in your place. Like this is.
I mean, I want to go too, and I was planning on going next year, but I don't think it's gonna happen. So maybe a year from now, because I wanted to go to the US in 2020 to my first American football game. I wanted to go and see the freaking Patriots, and then Tom Brady left, and then my favorite player retired, and I'm like, I'm not in a rush anymore. And so yeah.
I want to stay behind for tarot conventions that they used to have pre-COVID. I think that I don't know if Lisa's still. I think Lisa's still in here, but isn't there like a tarot convention?
Yeah, the North American Symposium or something like that.
Yeah, that looks great.
I know. I remember Lisa mentioning it, and stuff like that. But
it's just that chance to connect with people, and what's really cool about that is that everyone kind of knows someone through somebody. Like it kind of feels like you'll see people that you've never met again.
Yeah, and I will go to Gillette, Stadium. Obviously, I'm going to a home game. I have friends living close to Foxborough that I can stay at their places, but I'm not sure, all the restrictions and the prices are just like through the roof, and I don't know how much time it has to go by for things to go a bit more affordable, because it's already very expensive to do.
Well, even with traveling to the United States right now, my mother lives in Florida, and the COVID rates are really high over there. So I'm a bit like, I'll just wait it out a bit longer. So we're having Thanksgiving in this country this year, and I'm going to make a big thing of it. But it would be nice to finally get over there and do the world opening up again. And I think even because I've always been able to travel to the United States, even during COVID times, because I'm a citizen and my husband joined me. The stresses of traveling, it's already a hassle enough to travel. And then I'm not saying that testing for COVID is a hassle. I think it's a necessary thing because we all want to be safe, but you add that on top of so going through security and your COVID testing, and because I'm American, and my husband is British, we have to apply for, it's like a little temporary visa that gets approved in an hour. It's called an ESTA. And I'm in a Facebook group with other people who live in the UK. And there's been so many instances where they've got to the airport and the husband's ESTA has been canceled, and the embassy, they would have to call the embassy, but there's more of an influx of calls to the embassy. So it's taking a bit longer. So go through all that. I'm like, oh man, traveling is stressful enough. I think I'll just wait it out. Hopefully we can wait it out and things will be better. But it just doesn't feel, to me, I would be a bit too nervous to go to Florida at this moment.
Yeah, and traveling alone is stressful, and go to a completely different country is, I get stressed out, and my in the Northwest did I say it right? The Northwest Aero Symposium is happening in Oregon.
Oh, good. Okay.
Just, if that helps you. But my sister works in Kuwait, and
Right.
we had such a hard time when she was going back this summer, because after a year and a half, she was finally able to come home and visit. And, it kind of sucked because my nephew was born previously, and she missed out on everything, the pregnancy, the birth. It just sucked. But she finally came home, and then there were like, oh, we need you to upload these and these papers onto the system, and then they didn't accept the papers that she had because it was in a different form, because it was from Hungary, and her she got vaccinated, but her first one was in Kuwait, and the second was in Hungary, because they said it was okay, but then they didn't accepted the paperwork for it. So we pretty much didn't know if she was able to go back like a week prior to her flight. So the whole last 2 weeks that should have been just about having fun and enjoying our time together was just stress. So so I'm not rushing into big travels, because I'm like, I'm gonna have a panic attack and I'm just gonna die. So I don't want to do that.
Well, hopefully I'll see my mother in July. I think she might travel up here to see me, which would be good. It just seems like forever since I've seen her. But she's retiring. She works for the post office in the United States.
Post office. Oh.
And she helped me sort out a package. One that I sent out a package, and something happens with the address, and it just bounced from one end of the country to the other. No one was really looking at it, and she managed to help me track it down and contact whoever needed to be contacted. I feel like I have a superpower in the
you definitely do.
I have an in. She's but I'm excited. Hopefully I can see her, and because I miss my mother. I cannot wait to see her.
Oh yeah.
We all miss our families, but
it sucks, and that's why I'm annoyed when people are like, I'm not wearing masks because it's against my human rights, and I'm like, you're the reason why I haven't seen my sister for a year and a half. So thank you. So it's such a small thing to do.
I hope things change.
I mean, Kuwait really took seriously the lockdown and everything, and they are lifting things up finally, and they are expected everything to be lifted up from next January. So I think we are reaching that point where things go back to normal, because we can't keep the world in lockdown anymore, I don't think.
Originally, for my 40th, because I guess it's a big birthday, I wanted to go. This was years ago. I was like, on my 40th, I want to go to Hawaii. Jonathan.
Oh, that's on my
list. Of course, COVID and lockdowns and stuff had different plans for us, but we had a lovely birthday celebration in Whitby, which is where Dracula, the story of Dracula originated from. So that was great, and it was still seaside and beautiful, just in a different way. But I'd love to get to. That's one of those places I want to go to. I want to go to Hawaii one day.
Yeah, I mean, I started saving up for a trip to Hawaii before. I was like, but I want to go to a football game. So I was like, okay, let's go first there, and then COVID happened. So who knows? Maybe I'm back to saving up.
It happens for all of us. It's so crazy. I can't believe. How has it been? 2 years. I feel like it feels like exactly. Really, what the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. And I mean, it's at some point it feels like it's been forever, and in some other type of sense, it's like, how is it already end of October of 2021? I don't understand where time went.
I know. We had considered when I was doing my Kickstarter just before launching, and the whole COVID thing happened, and people were losing their jobs, and I was like, should I even be launching a Kickstarter at this time? Because look what's happening.
Yeah, will people be able to afford, something like that?
Yeah, and I didn't want people to feel So, but Adam, I talked to Adam about it. He's like, no, creative endeavors need to continue. He said, well, just launch as well and see how it does. And if it doesn't succeed, it doesn't succeed. If it does, great. But COVID was a huge factor in whether or not I launched. And I am glad that I did, but I just kind of thought to myself, people are losing their jobs. Is this appropriate for me to be launching? I don't know how that will be perceived, and I don't want to offend anyone. But we just decided to launch. But COVID is, I think I was put on furlough. Was put on furlough from my job a day before we launched, and then I was eventually let go. And then I decided to do this full time. But people are in such terrible positions, with work, and I feel really, really bad about everything that's going on in the world. But I guess creativity needs to continue. So
I think these things, like being able to wait for something like a deck, it just helps mentally, and it helps to have something that you can look forward to, because everything was just shit. So I think when you have a deck that that eventually it's gonna come and you're gonna love, it's a good thing.
It's a nice surprise in the mail, because a lot of the Kickstarters that I back, I mean, you get the weekly updates, but I kind of just put them out of my mind for a bit, and then when it finally arrives in the mail, you're like, oh yay! Like I just backed the Embroidered Forest. Was it the Embroidered Forest and the Forager's Daughter? And I can't wait to receive those. They're both animal decks, and I know it's going to probably be a bit. I think the Forager's Daughter isn't due till like March, but it'll be a nice little thing to get in the mail when I open it up.
That's why I backed the Saphiro Tarot.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is because there's a Hungarian involved, and I was like, even though if he doesn't live here anymore, he lives in Austria, but I was like, there's a Hungarian name. Plus, they're gonna ship from Vienna. It's like no customs, no waiting time. It should be here relatively, within a few days. Fingers crossed. But my thinking was that, I'm gonna back it now, and I'm gonna get a deck. Next year is gonna be a surprise deck when I'm not gonna be able to afford a new one, but I already bought myself a gift in the future. So that was one of the reasons that I backed that one. So yeah,
I have a clue on the way. God, Faunabelle. Who is Faunabelle in a Kickstarter? And so, like, have you seen the Faunabelle?
Yes, I'm trying to avoid Kickstarters because
they funded a few months back, and it's like this. It's a deck created. You could use it for anyone, but it looks like it was created for children. Oh, this is so sweet. Those little illustrations, and I cannot wait to receive it. So every time I get an update where they're like, "This is delayed, that's delayed," I'm like, "It's okay. I'm fine. I can wait." Yes, Lisa's wait. How did I have the feeling that Lisa would have that on pre-order? It's great. I just can't. It is so dang cute. Yes. Oh my goodness. I think sword suit are little cockatiels. The whole suit is like these little birds. I think they're cockatiels because I had a cockatiel.
Yeah, I looked it over, but I was like, I have my animal deck, so I don't need it. It's Lisa's aesthetic. I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for Joanna Nelson to put the Cosmo Beings on Kickstarter, because that's the one that
I found her on Facebook. Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, that was another deck that every time she was posting a new one, I'm like, I want this. How can we? So yeah, I even though I think it's gonna be too big for my hand, because the Monstero is a big one. And that was one of the reasons why I didn't want it. And now there's a travel size, but I'm like, but now I want another deck, so too late.
I do. I think I only have one pocket size deck, and that's the Way of the Panda, and it's adorable.
Oh yeah, at first I didn't want it, but I keep seeing it, and I'm like, but it's a dang cute deck. So it's pen, and my nephew loves pandas, so I'm like. But I should get one.
I know you said you like watercolor, so.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
absolutely. Unfortunately, there's a lot of beautiful decks with watercolors.
Yes,
it makes my life very hard. But my decks are gonna be watercolors as well. So I'm saving up for an iPad now, because I can't just. I love painting with actual paint, but taking out the paint, the paper, the water, and everything, it requires space and time to get prepared, then I just never do it because I always use my desk for something else. But
Yeah.
I've seen digital brushes and all those stuffs in watercolor that really looks good. So I'm getting one, an iPad mini because that just looks so cool. That's gonna be my birthday present for myself because I'm gonna be 40 next year. So I'm like, I'm
Nice.
splurging. So
Yeah.
and I want to create not just one tarot deck because why would you do that? I want to do two side by side. That would be in a way a match to each other. But it's
I
gonna
find
be
tarot deck reading it's kind of an addictive thing.
it
Like
is.
I'm constantly looking forward. I'm like, what's the next thing going to be? What's the next thing going to be? And then you try to develop your ideas for that thing. And that's the fun part. So
I mean, I'm gonna come out with another oracle deck to just plug myself, but that's just a much more simple one than the zombie. But my main oracle deck is triangle shaped because I worked out a system, and I don't know how and where to find printers that would do triangle shaped decks because so far I haven't found any. So I'm running into problems with that one.
I'm sure they're out there. Just got to have a good look for them.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's one in America who does playing cards in triangle shape, but I'm like, that's just not a good option because all the customs and the money and shipping, that would be a really, really expensive deck.
If it's the one in Orlando, I think they dispatch decks they'll do all the shipping for you as well. I think. Don't hold me to it, but a lot of these printers, they will, it's like for a fee, but they will dispatch decks for you. They'll do all the packing and shipping. And then if you wanted to have, if most of your customers are in America and you want to have them printed in America, they can ship directly to your customers, I think.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I still have to illustrate it because all I have is the keywords yet, and I have sketches for each card, but I put it on hold until I get the iPad, and I'm gonna do it digitally because it's gonna be a good way to practice and learn how to draw on that one. So it's not like I need a printer for tomorrow, but I looked around in Chinese printers, and there are deck sites where they list printers. And so far I haven't found any, but I'm
see if I can see if I could. I'm in a deck group. I'll ask them and see if they know anyone who has experience printing different shapes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as I'm done with illustrating, I'm gonna look around. And that one, I think I would do a Kickstarter because it's such a unique shape that I would love to do that. But that's in the future. So, but yeah, I think since we're almost at 2 hours, I think we should finish because other people are going as well.
Oh, right. How did I not know you lived near? Oh, bye.
So,
I was just looking. I'm really terrible with reading the comments, but yep, that one. How did I not know you live near Brighton? I'm actually, I think. Well, I'm a half an hour outside of Manchester, so I'm like 4 or 5 hours north of Brighton, I think. But the printer is my printer. My printer's in Brighton.
So if I visit my friend in Manchester, we can meet actually.
Yeah, we live just outside of a city called town. Is it a city or town? Huddersfield, and that's one of the main stops on the train. If you would know of Huddersfield because a lot of trains go there. But yeah, Huddersfield, it's like 40, 30 minutes by train, depending on which one you get.
I mean, my friend's fiance, I think boyfriend, whatever, he has a car, so he drives everywhere. So I can, because I mean, I'm planning on visiting her next year somewhere early. But
well, you must tell me, and I could come crash your gathering. I'll just invite myself.
Of course, I'm gonna do that.
Like you have no choice. I'm gonna see you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm waiting on mine. November, I should have it.
Yeah, and I hope you will like it. I mean,
I will.
yeah. Okay, so I think we're good. I think we talked about everything we wanted
Yes.
for now, for the first
If I missed anything, I'm really, really sorry. But if anyone has questions, feel free to like comment on
leave
them.
it in the comments down below, and I'm gonna forward them to Stephanie.
Yes.
So if you have any questions, if you look through the website and you have a question, just email them. Email use the website's email. You're gonna get a reply. So, and you can just message Stephanie on Instagram as well, because she's always there as well. But yeah, get ready to pre-order the deck because it's coming.
I can't
And I love
wait.
it.
I can't wait.
Yes, I'm so excited. But yeah, please send the positive energy to the person who's dealing with my tag at the post office. So it's gonna
Watch, you'll
come.
get it tomorrow. I feel it in my bones. You're gonna get it tomorrow. You're gonna get it
Okay.
tomorrow.
Oh, I think that's too early because they have to process. But if I have a notice about it tomorrow, that's already good.
Well, soon.
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much, and see you in the next one, which is gonna be tomorrow with 10G. Yes, come hang with us for 10.
Hang out.
Bye, guys.